Hi, Greg Dell here with attorney Cesar Gavidia and Alexander Palomara. We're here to discuss Sun Life disability denials. We see a fair amount of them, only based upon volume, because Sun Life isn't one of the biggest companies. But when they do come, it's a mixed bag, as we've talked about. And I say it's a mixed bag because sometimes we'll get this multi-page, detailed Sun Life denial letter, and then the next call I get is this two-page, Sun Life denial letter. So there's clearly no consistency going on over there in terms of how they handle their denial letters. But the person who's stumbled upon this particular video finds himself in a position where they're either worried about being denied by Sun Life or they've been denied already. So Alex, I always like to ask you, you have a thought process that goes through your mind when someone calls you and they say, I've been denied, and the first thing you like to say is, who's the carrier? And the reason for that is because every carrier behaves differently and you know what you're going to be up against. So what is the adjectives or thoughts that come to your mind when they say, hey, it's Sun Life, Alex?
Well, you kind of already hit the nail on the head. Like sometimes I'm like, it's going to be a very thorough denial letter. It's going to be long. It's going to be 6, 7, 8 pages long. When you have a denial letter from New York Life or Hartford, sometimes they're 2 pages, 3 pages long, and they're very formulaic, and they just follow the same formula every single time, and it's the same denial letter. So I already know what I'm going to see in a New York Life denial letter. Sun Life, it's a mixed bag, like you said. Like sometimes they're 3 pages long, sometimes they're 8 to 12 pages long. If they're 8 to 12 pages long, they're very detailed. They put a lot of information in those denial letters. The reviews they relied upon. They might put a summary of the medical records that their reviewer utilized and make it very long and detailed. Sometimes they're very short and straight to the point. I like that more. The shorter ones are easier to read, and it probably gives us a better chance of winning on appeal because it means they did less on the case. Right. When it's more detailed, sometimes it doesn't scare me off by any means, but sometimes it makes me think that maybe they put a little bit more work in. It might be more difficult to win on appeal. But either way, the first thing I want to do is get a copy of that denial letter from any potential that calls in. I want to review it, figure out what's going on, and figure out a strategy to get this person back on claim or get their claim approved.
Cesar, I want you to talk about the top 2 reasons that you see a Sun Life disability denial.
So often it just comes down to their medical reviews. So they've gone through the process, or you've gone through the process of compiling all your medical records, sent them all to Sun Life. They've usually utilized some internal medical review team, either a physician or a nurse, to review all of your records. And now they've come up with a report or an opinion about your impairments, your limitations. If the question is whether you're able to perform the substantial material duties of your occupation. They're not often, going directly at that question. They're often just looking and attacking what are the particular limitations that you're claiming you struggle with, and is that supported within the body of your medical evidence and medical records.
All right, that's your number 1 reason.
That's the number 1.
Give us your number 2.
The number 2 reason, which sometimes comes down to this vocational review of your condition and how it affects your ability to perform your occupational duties, and they will essentially do an assessment of your occupation or a gainful occupation you may be qualified to perform based on your education, training, and experience, and this. One thing people think, oh, well, they're looking at my job. They're not looking at your job. They're looking at your occupation. The occupation could be how that occupation is globally performed on a national scale. Okay. And if their foundation there is this flawed medical assessment by their medical review team, then there is no chance they're going to find that based on that, flawed medical assessment that you're disabled from whatever, occupation they've now analyzed you can perform, right? So they're basically, looking at the limitations you have and then, identifying them to whatever vocational assessment and duties that they've determined subjectively you can and could not perform.
And Alex, in terms of Sun Life, we've done other videos about this, but they have a special technique called the lowball offer. You talk about your experience with those and how it comes about before denial and whether people should accept that, contact a lawyer, or what are your thoughts about those?
You have to contact a lawyer because sometimes it could be a decent offer. And I'll explain what the offer is. Before they deny your claim, and a lot of times they deny the claims at the 24-month mark, because at the 24-month mark there's a change in definition of disability, or there could be a mental health limitation. And more often than not, a lot of these claimants are not yet receiving Social Security disability benefits. So let's say there's about 6 or 5 months left on their claim. Sun Life will reach out to them and say, hey, listen, we'll pay you let's say your claim is worth $5,000 a month. They'll say, listen, we'll send you a check for $34,000 if you sign this release. Well, when you do the math, there's 6 months left and your monthly benefit's $5,000 a month. You're already guaranteed $30,000. But sometimes this offer says, we know your Social Security disability claim is pending. That would be an offset to your long-term disability claim, meaning that we'd get to pay you less. You'd owe us an overpayment for the last 18 to 24 months that we've already been paying you. But if you accept this offer, we'll not ask for the overpayment. So it could definitely be a good thing, but you don't know if your Social Security disability claim is going to be approved or not, so you don't know if it's a good offer or not. And lo and behold, you might be accepting 6 months of benefits with the hope of being able to keep your Social Security disability benefits, but you're giving up future benefits as well. So if you're age 45 to 63, it's probably not a good offer, because I can tell you that even if they deny your claim, we'll file an appeal for you and get you back on claim. If not, we'll file a lawsuit for you and probably get you more than that low ball offer they're offering you. So probably 9 times out of 10, the low ball offer is not worth it. But every now and then, if the money works right and the Social Security offset is so big that the Social Security back benefits is so big that it's a guaranteed amount of money, that it's probably a less percentage of, it's a guaranteed amount of money. So it could be working in that person's favor, but for the most part, that lowball offer is something to walk away from and contact us to help you with any appeal.
And Caesar, you've seen, and I get the call often that they say, Sun Life has called me and said they want to offer me X amount of dollars, and they've told me that I don't have medical support, and they're going to cut my claim off, but instead of doing that, I could take this offer. I've really almost never seen where that makes sense to take that offer, and they're usually not a situation where we're able to call Sun Life and try and negotiate up a different amount. Those are definitely ones where we can get involved and say, look, we're going to review the merits of your case and say, well, if you're in a position where it looks like you should continue to get paid, don't believe what they're saying about change of definition or you don't have objective evidence, because we may talk to you and say, have you done this test? Have you done that test? Have you seen this particular doctor? Have you had a functional capacity examination? Have we looked into the vocation of what the change of definition is going to be? There's lots of different options there to explore that, where I've never seen that situation being worthy. However, it's often an offer that might be a couple months or a year. A lot of claimants are in a tough financial position at that point, and they feel like, oh, I'm going to take this money and then try to move on. But then they find out that that money is not going to last very long, and I really can't do anything else. And I may not even get my Social Security disability, so what am I going to do? So the better situation is, let's look at that offer if you're in that situation. Let's determine where it's going to be, what's it going to take to, in some cases, people have received that offer, they contact us, we start managing the claim, they never even get denied. I've had that happen a couple times too, because as soon as they get that letter from the lawyer, now Sun Life backs down a little bit and goes, oh, wait a second, we're not going to pull the wool over your eyes on this particular one. Caesar, when we talk about denials, Sun Life obviously has their own internal doctors, their nurses that they use, they go to outside companies, but they use other tools also in ways to which to deny a claim. What should someone be aware of that they may do? So
one of the things that I saw, and I guess you could talk about independent medical examinations. That can be done, before they ever deny your claim. So clearly they have some medical questions. They probably already are under this idea that you aren't, qualifying or eligible for ongoing benefits, right? So they exercise their right to send you to an independent medical exam. The question is, how independent is that physician that they're sending you to? I guess if you consider they're not directly employed with Sun Life, if that's how you define independent, then I guess they're independent. We prefer to call them compulsory medical exams because you're actually required usually under the terms of the policy to cooperate and attend the examination. Refusal to do that and when I say refusal, is just outright refusal and saying, I'm not going to attend your examination, will put you potentially in violation of your obligations under the policy, the prerequisites to continue your claim, and they could deny on that basis. That could be catastrophic to your disability claim and to your case. So once they decide, okay, we're going to send you out to this physician, or we're going to want to have an independent medical exam done, they're now usually farming out to some vendor to locate an examiner who may or may not be specialized and qualified to examine you for whatever condition that you're actually claiming disability from. Okay, and so that's just one of the tools that they could utilize. There's also functional capacity examinations they could potentially send you to. Another is a neuropsychological examination, kind of falls also within that umbrella of an independent medical exam, except this person may not be an actual physician. They may be a therapist who specializes in conducting and performing these functional capacity examinations.
And then Alex, of course, you know, they use video surveillance, social media surveillance, huge. Almost every Sun Life denial, whether it's in the denial letter or in the claim file, I see that they've looked up all of their social media profiles. They've tried to look at their family. They may have done video surveillance to go out and try to see that the claimant's doing some kind of activity that may be inconsistent to what the claimant was telling Sun Life. The other thing about Sun Life that they do, they're very hands-on in their claims handling. They always require those interviews with the claim person, like they want to call and talk to you, and more so they lean towards that than necessarily their claim form. So I'm always, because we represent tons of clients who we've either won appeals or they called us to manage the claim, and I'm always doing those phone interviews with the clients with Sun Life. So they're involved, you know, in looking at their claims, but those notes are always going to be in the file, and you can learn what their motives are or were after the fact, because there was probably a meeting with a manager that went on before that who said, reach out to the claimant and talk about these couple things and see what the claimant tells you. Or ask the claimant to explain what symptoms they're having or what conditions they're having.
Or sometimes I see that the interviews might be used as like almost like a gotcha moment, because they've already done the surveillance and they had to do these interviews and they ask you questions. Hey, you go to the grocery store. How often do you go to the grocery store? At the grocery store, do you use a cart? You know, one of those, you know, wheelchair carts? Or and are you able to lift a 12-pack of Coke or this, that, and the other? And the person says, no, I can't do this, that, and the other. Then they already have you on surveillance doing all that. So it's almost like a, you know, you have to be careful what you say in the interviews. And I tell my clients, if you're disabled, be honest. Or potential clients, you can be honest.
Right.
The truth will set you free. A lie will get you in more trouble than the truth.
So there's, you know, we've just scratched the surface about the reasons for denial. We've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of Sun Life denials, know all the case law that's out there about Sun Life, and have handled so many appeals. So if you're somebody out there who's been denied by Sun Life, feel free to call Alex, Caesar, myself. No matter where you live in the country, we're always going to provide you a free consultation. And we never charge you any fees or costs unless we're able to recover benefits for you. We look forward to speaking with you.